Nobody showed up to my graduation. The family section stayed empty, metal seats glinting in the sunlight while my name echoed through the stadium. I smiled for the photo anyway, pretending it didn't sting. 3 days later, Mom texted, "Need $3,000 for your sister's Sweet 16. No congrats. Just a demand." I sent her $1 with congrats on the party and changed my locks. 2 nights later, police knocked on my door. Mom told them I was unstable, suicidal, dangerous. She weaponized cops because I said no. What she didn't know is that I'd already found the credit card she opened in my name. The $8,000 she charged for Avery's party was about to become a fraud investigation. And in 1 week, police would show up again, but this time at my sister's Sweet 16, in front of everyone Mom knew, to document evidence of identity theft while the DJ stopped mid-song and 200 guests watched her world collapse. If you're watching this right now, drop a comment and let me know where you're viewing from. I want to know I'm not the only one whose parents only remember them when they need money. My name is Camila Reed, and I'm 28 years old. I live in Denver, Colorado, where I just completed my master's degree in data analytics. My family consists of my mother Linda, who's 52, my father James, who's 54, and my younger sister Avery, who's 15. Growing up, the difference between how my parents treated Avery and me was always clear. She was the baby, the planned child, the one they actually wanted. I was the accident they kept but never quite forgave for existing. From the time I was 16, I've been the family ATM. My first job was at Starbucks, waking at 5 a.m. to serve coffee before school. Every paycheck went home. Avery needs piano lessons. Avery has a field trip, just a little extra. I said yes every time because I thought that's what love looked like, providing, sacrificing, earning your place in the family. Before I tell you about the graduation nobody attended and the fraud investigation that destroyed my mother, hit the like button and subscribe to hear more real stories about parents who see their children as resources and the moment everything catches up to them. These stories might save you from making the same mistakes I did. College was supposed to change things. I worked 3 jobs, took out loans, graduated with honors. My parents didn't come to that graduation either. Avery has finals, Mom said. Dad didn't even call. But I told myself grad school would be different. If I just achieved more, worked harder, proved my worth, maybe they'd finally see me. I was wrong. The graduation ceremony was on a perfect May afternoon. The stadium filled with navy gowns and proud families waving phones. I'd reserved 4 seats in the family section, sent my parents the tickets, called twice to confirm they were coming. "Of course, sweetheart," Mom had said. We wouldn't miss it. When they called my name, Camila Elaine Reed, Master of Data Analytics, I looked up instinctively. The 4 seats sat empty, metal glinting in the harsh sunlight. Around me, students hugged parents, posed for photos, cried happy tears. I stood alone at the edge of someone else's family celebration, smiling for the photographer, because what else could I do? My classmate Ruby found me after. "You did it. Where's your family?" "Running late," I lied. The lie came easy after years of practice. I drove home in silence, watching other graduates celebrate at restaurants with their families. I sat in my car in the parking lot of my apartment building for 20 minutes, just breathing, trying to convince myself it didn't matter. That night, I texted my mom. "Thanks for coming today. It meant a lot." Sarcasm, testing to see if she'd even noticed she'd missed it. Her response came an hour later. "Sorry, honey. Avery had a thing. We'll celebrate soon." Avery had a thing. My master's degree, 6 years of work, $80,000 in debt, all dismissed because Avery had a thing. I didn't respond. I ordered takeout, drank wine, and told myself I was fine. This was normal for us. I was used to being invisible. 3 days later, the text came. "Need $3,000 for Avery's Sweet 16. Party is in 2 weeks. Can you send it by Friday?" I read it 5 times. No, how was graduation? No, congratulations. Not even an acknowledgement that she'd missed the most important day of my academic life. Just a demand for money, with a deadline. Something inside me that had been bending for 28 years finally snapped. I opened my banking app. My savings showed $4,200, carefully accumulated over 2 years of side gigs and strict budgeting. $3,000 was nearly everything I had. Money I'd been saving for a security deposit on a better apartment, for a professional wardrobe for job interviews, for emergencies. I typed in the amount. $1. Added a note. Congrats on the party. Hit send. For a moment, I just stared at the confirmation. $1. The exact value they'd placed on my graduation on me. Then, I did something I'd never done before. I went to the drawer by my door where I kept the spare key Mom insisted on having for emergencies. I dropped it in the trash. Then I called a locksmith. He arrived within an hour, an older man with kind eyes and tools that clinked softly as he worked. New lock. New boundaries, I said. He smiled like he understood. 20 minutes later, my door had a lock my parents couldn't open. It was the first real boundary I'd ever set, physical and immovable. That night, I slept better than I had in years. The next day, my phone exploded. 17 missed calls from Mom. Texts ranging from confused to angry. Did you mean to send $1? This isn't funny. Call me immediately. You're being selfish and childish.
I didn't respond.
I silenced the notifications and went to work on my laptop, applying for jobs in my field, building the life I'd earned. 2 days later, at 9 p.m., someone knocked on my door. Firm, official, relentless. I looked through the peephole, and my stomach dropped. 2 Denver police officers stood in the hallway, both looking serious. I opened the door slowly. Yes. The taller officer, a woman in her 40s, showed her badge. Camila Reed? That's me. We received a call from your mother, Linda Reed. She reported that you've been acting erratically, that you changed your locks without telling her, and that she's concerned you might harm yourself. We're here for a wellness check. For a moment, I couldn't speak. My mother had called the police. Actually called the police and lied about me being suicidal because I'd set a boundary. I'm fine, I said, hearing the shake in my voice. Completely fine. Would you like to come in? They stepped inside, looking around at my clean apartment. Laptop open on the table with job applications visible. My diploma framed on the wall. Coffee mug in the sink. Everything normal, stable, fine. Have you been experiencing any mental health crises? The female officer asked gently.
No.
I just graduated with my master's degree. I'm job hunting. I changed my locks because I'm an adult and wanted privacy. My mother is upset because I didn't give her money she demanded. The officers exchanged a glance. The male officer, younger, spoke carefully. Your mother said you sent her $1 in response to a request for help, and that this was evidence of a breakdown. I sent her $1 because she asked for $3,000 3 days after missing my graduation. She didn't congratulate me, didn't acknowledge it, just demanded money. So I sent her what I thought the request was worth. The female officer's expression softened. Do you feel safe? Do you have thoughts of harming yourself or others? The only thing I'm harming is my mother's sense of entitlement. The younger officer almost smiled. They asked a few more questions, documented everything, and prepared to leave. At the door, the female officer turned back. For what it's worth, we see this a lot. Family members calling in wellness checks as punishment for boundaries. You're clearly fine. We'll file this as unfounded. If she calls again, you can reference this visit. After they left, I sat on my couch shaking. Not from fear, but rage. My mother hadn't just demanded money. She'd weaponized the police against me, tried to paint me as unstable, attempted to humiliate and control me through law enforcement. That's when I decided to check something I'd been avoiding. My credit report. I logged into the monitoring service I'd set up years ago, something I rarely checked. The page loaded and my heart stopped. 2 new accounts, Capital One and Discover. Both opened within the last month. Both showing my name, my social security number, but not my address. My parents' address in Littleton. My hands shook as I clicked through. The balances were already climbing. Capital One, $4,800. Discover, $3,200. $8,000 charged in my name. I looked at the transaction history. Cherry Creek Events. Denver DJ Services. Party City. Glam Studio. Every single charge related to event planning. Avery's Sweet 16. My mother hadn't just asked me for money. She'd stolen my identity to throw the party when I refused to fund it. I called Capital One first, my voice surprisingly steady. I need to report identity theft. The representative was professional and kind. After verifying my information, she pulled up the account. This was opened in person at our Littleton branch. The co-applicant listed is Linda M. Reed. That's my mother. I didn't authorize this. I've never been to that branch. I'm flagging this immediately for fraud investigation. You'll receive paperwork within 24 hours. I made the same call to Discover. Same story, same co-applicant, same unauthorized charges. Then I did something my mother would never expect. I opened my voice recording app. Colorado is a one-party consent state. I could legally record our conversation without telling her. I called her number. She answered on the second ring, her voice sharp. So you're finally calling back. Mom, I found 2 credit cards in my name that I didn't open. Both list your address. Want to explain? Silence. Then a laugh, forced and brittle.
Oh, that.
I was helping you build credit, honey. You should be grateful. I'm making your life easier. By committing fraud? Don't be dramatic. It's family money. What's yours is ours. That's how family works. You're being selfish about this whole thing. I raised you better. You stole my identity to throw a party I refused to pay for. I didn't steal anything. You're my daughter. Your credit is my credit. Besides, you'll benefit from this later when you need loans. The banks have already flagged both accounts for fraud investigation. They have your signature, your address, your phone number as the co-applicant. The silence that followed was thick and cold. You reported me? Her voice dropped to something dangerous. I reported identity theft. You reported yourself by forging my signature. You ungrateful little. She caught herself. After everything I've done for you. After raising you, feeding you, giving you a home. This is how you repay me. You missed my graduation. You demanded $3,000 3 days later. When I said no, you called the police and lied about me being suicidal. Then I found out you'd stolen my identity. That's not a mother. That's a criminal. Watch your mouth. You're destroying this family.
No, Mom.
You did that yourself. I ended the call, saved the recording, and labeled it evidence, May 17th. That night, I filed official police reports for identity theft. I froze my credit. I contacted the fraud departments of both banks and provided documentation. Then I called a lawyer. His name was Marcus Chun. He specialized in family fraud cases. This is more common than people think, he told me during our consultation. Parents stealing their children's identities. You have a solid case. The banks will investigate, likely press charges themselves. You won't even need to do much beyond cooperating with their investigation. Will she go to jail?
Possibly.
Depends on the prosecutor and whether she agrees to restitution. But her credit will be destroyed, she'll have a criminal record, and this will follow her forever. I thanked him and hung up. Part of me felt guilty. She was my mother after all. But the larger part of me remembered the empty seats at graduation, the casual demand for money, the police at my door, the stolen identity. She'd made her choices. Now she'd face consequences. A week later, everything came to a head. Avery's Sweet 16 was scheduled for Saturday night at Cherry Creek Events, a fancy venue in downtown Denver. 200 guests. DJ, photographer, catered dinner, the works. All paid for with my stolen identity. I wasn't invited, obviously. But I didn't need to be. At 8:30 p.m., my phone rang. Unknown number. Miss Reed, this is Detective Sarah Martinez with Denver PD Fraud Division. We've coordinated with Capital One to document evidence at an ongoing event tonight. Officers are being dispatched now to Cherry Creek Events. You're not required to attend, but I wanted you informed.
My throat went dry.
You're sending police to the party? Yes, ma'am. The bank requested official documentation of the charges. We'll photograph receipts, take statements, document everything. Standard procedure for fraud investigations. I thanked her and hung up. For a moment, I just sat there, imagining what was about to happen. At 8:47 p.m., my phone buzzed. A text from Avery, the first communication from her in months. What did you do? Police just walked in. Mom's freaking out. Everyone's staring. Then another. The DJ stopped. They're talking to the event coordinator. People are filming. This is my party. How could you? I didn't respond. This wasn't about Avery. This was about consequences. Across town, 2 uniformed officers entered the glittering venue. Cherry Creek events decorated in purple and silver, 200 teenagers and parents dressed up, music thumping. The officers' entrance cut through the celebration like a knife. Good evening, one officer said, voice calm but carrying. We're here to verify charges related to a fraud investigation. We need to speak with Linda Reed. The music stopped. Conversation died. 200 faces turned toward my mother, who stood frozen near the cake table. There must be a mistake, she stammered. Ma'am, we need to verify transactions made on a credit card opened in another person's name. The charges were made for this event. We need to see receipts and identification. Whispers erupted. Phones rose, recording. Someone said, Isn't that fraud? Another voice. She used someone else's card? My mother's face drained of color. Avery stood in the center of the room, her purple dress sparkling under lights, tears streaming down her face. Mom, what's happening? The officers documented everything professionally. Photographs of receipts, copies of contracts, statements from vendors. They didn't arrest anyone, didn't make a scene beyond their presence. They didn't need to. The humiliation was complete. Within 20 minutes, guests started leaving. Awkward goodbyes, sympathetic glances at Avery, whispered conversations. The banner reading, Avery's Sweet 16, Born to Shine, drooped in the humid air. By 9:30 p.m., the venue was empty except for my family and the cleanup crew. I learned all this later from various sources. Some from the police report. Some from social media, because of course people posted about it. Most dramatic Sweet 16 ever. Police showed up for fraud investigation. The videos went viral in our community. My mother called me 17 times that night. I didn't answer. She left voicemails ranging from sobbing to screaming. You destroyed your sister's party. You're a vindictive, terrible person. I'll never forgive you for this. My father called once. Your mother made a mistake, but you didn't have to humiliate her publicly. You could have handled this privately. I listened to the voicemail, then deleted it. They still didn't understand. This wasn't about revenge. This was about protection. 3 days later, official letters arrived. Capital One confirmed fraud investigation resolved. Primary applicant Linda M. Reed acknowledged unauthorized use and agreed to repayment plan. $8,412 to be repaid over 3 years. Criminal charges pending prosecutor review. Discover sent similar notification. Both banks closed the accounts, removed all negative marks from my credit, and flagged my mother's information. My credit was clean. Hers was destroyed. The gossip in Littleton spread like wildfire. My mother, who'd always cared so much about appearances, about what people thought, was now known as the woman who committed fraud against her own daughter and got caught at her youngest daughter's Sweet 16. She lost friends. People stopped calling. Her book club quietly asked her to step down. Even my father's workplace heard about it. Some of their financial documents had been sent to their home address, mixing personal and professional in ways that embarrassed him. Avery's social media went dark. The girl who'd lived for likes and comments couldn't face the humiliation of her party becoming a viral fraud story. For the first time in my life, I felt nothing when I thought about them. No guilt, no obligation, no desperate need for their approval. Just quiet, powerful nothing. A month later, I got a job offer. Senior data analyst at a tech company, great salary, benefits, remote work. I accepted immediately and gave notice at my part-time retail job. I used my first paycheck to buy myself graduation flowers. A huge bouquet of roses and lilies. I took a photo with them and my diploma, posted it with a caption, "Better late than never," celebrating myself since no one else did. The comments flooded in from friends, classmates, even strangers. Congratulations. You deserve this. Proud of you. I printed the photo and framed it next to my diploma. Two symbols of achievement earned entirely on my own. My mother tried reaching out periodically. Emails about healing and moving past this. Letters claiming she'd acted out of desperation, that family should forgive. My father sent awkward texts suggesting therapy, family counseling, reconciliation. I responded once, with a single email. You missed my graduation without apology. You demanded money 3 days later. You called police claiming I was suicidal for setting boundaries. You stole my identity and committed fraud. These aren't mistakes. They're choices. I'm living with mine. You're living with yours. We're done. After that, I blocked them everywhere. Their numbers, their emails, their social media. Complete silence. 6 months later, autumn arrived in Denver, the air crisp and forgiving. I'd moved to a better apartment, one with a view of the mountains. My job was everything I'd hoped for, challenging work with people who valued my contributions. I kept 3 things on my wall. My diploma, my graduation photo with flowers I bought myself, and the old lock the locksmith replaced that day I first set a boundary. Together they told one story, how I finally chose myself. One evening, I got a message from Ruby, my classmate from graduation. Hey, saw your post. I've been meaning to tell you, I thought you were so strong that day. Smiling through everything when your family didn't show. You inspired me to set some boundaries with my own family. Thank you. I stared at that message for a long time. I'd spent years thinking my pain was private, that my struggle to set boundaries was a personal failure. But maybe by sharing my story, by refusing to hide the truth, I'd help someone else find their voice. That night, I posted the full story online. Not for revenge, not to embarrass anyone, just to tell the truth. About the graduation nobody attended. About the demand for money. About the police wellness check. About the identity theft and the party that ended with fraud investigation. I ended with, you don't owe your family access to your peace just because they're family. Blood doesn't entitle anyone to steal from you, lie about you, or control you. Sometimes the most loving thing you can do is change the locks. The response was overwhelming. Thousands of comments from people with similar stories. Parents who'd stolen their identities. Families who'd missed important events but expected financial support. Children who'd spent decades being ATMs for parents who never valued them. I realized I wasn't alone. None of us were. My story became part of something larger, a conversation about family obligations, financial abuse, and the courage it takes to set boundaries when everyone tells you family comes first. Now, a year after that graduation, I'm thriving. My career is advancing, my credit is pristine, my apartment is mine with locks no one else's keys to. I have friends who celebrate my achievements, colleagues who respect my work, a life built on my terms. Sometimes I wonder if my parents regret their choices. If they understand what they lost when they chose to see me as a resource instead of a daughter. But mostly, I don't think about them at all. The silence where they used to be isn't empty. It's peaceful. And that peace is worth more than any amount of money, any family approval, any relationship built on obligation instead of love. I graduated with my master's degree. Nobody came to watch me walk across that stage. But I walked anyway, smiled anyway, earned that diploma anyway. And when the applause faded and the ceremony ended, I didn't need anyone else's validation. I had my own. And that was enough. Have you ever had family members who only contacted you when they needed money? Have you set boundaries that destroyed relationships but saved your peace? Have you ever been punished for saying no to family demands? Share your stories in the comments below. I want to know I'm not the only one who had to choose themselves over family obligation. If this story resonated with you, please hit the like button and subscribe to hear more real stories about setting boundaries with toxic family and the moment you finally put yourself first. Share this video with someone who needs to hear that it's okay to change the locks, to say no, to protect yourself even from the people who raised you. Thank you for watching, and remember, you don't owe anyone access to your peace, your money, or your life just because they're family. Sometimes the most powerful thing you can do is send $1 and change the locks.